In the annals of scientific history, a remarkable girl scientist's groundbreaking work quietly laid the foundation for groundbreaking discoveries. Yet her contributions remained unjustly hidden from the spotlight. Rosalind Franklin stands as a poignant example of a scientific mind whose groundbreaking contributions were overshadowed by a disheartening twist of fate, as her work played an unwitting role in the discovery of the DNA double helix by others. Rosalind Elsie Franklin was born into an affluent and influential Jewish family on July 25, 1920, in Notting Hill, London, England. She displayed exceptional intelligence from early childhood, knowing from the age of 15 that she wanted to be a scientist. At least until her father found out. He told her she wasn't allowed to study science or math, suggesting that she tried something more suited for women like typing. Nevertheless, she insisted. She received her education at several schools, including North London Collegiate School, where she excelled in science, among other things. In 1938, Franklin enrolled at Newnham College, Cambridge, and studied chemistry. In 1941, she was awarded second-class honors in her finals, which, at that time, was accepted as a bachelor's degree in the qualifications for employment. She went on to work as an assistant research officer at the British Coal Utilisation Research Association, where she studied the porosity of coal, work that was the basis of her 1945 PhD thesis, the physical chemistry of solid organic colloids with special reference to coal, in which she earned a PhD in physical chemistry from Cambridge in 1945, at a time when few women were working as professional chemists or researchers. In the fall of 1946, Franklin was appointed at the Laboratoire Central des Services Chimiques de l'État in Paris, where she worked with crystallographer Jacques Mering, a Lithuanian-born, naturalized French engineer, well known in the fields of X-ray crystallography and mineralogy. He taught her X-ray diffraction, which would play an important role in her research that led to the discovery of the secret of life, the structure of DNA. In addition, Franklin pioneered the use of X-rays to create images of crystallized solids in analyzing complex, unorganized matter, not just single crystals. In January 1951, Franklin began working as a research associate at the King's College London in the biophysics unit, where Director John Randall used her expertise and X-ray diffraction techniques, mostly of proteins and lipids in solution, on DNA fibers. Studying DNA structure with X-ray diffraction, Franklin and her student, Raymond Gosling, made an amazing discovery. They took pictures of DNA and discovered that there were two forms of it, a dry A form and a wet B form. One of their X-ray diffraction pictures of the B form of DNA, known as photograph 51, became famous as critical evidence in identifying the structure of DNA. The photo was acquired through 100 hours of X-ray exposure from a machine Franklin herself had refined. Despite her cautious and diligent work ethic, Franklin had a personality conflict with colleague Maurice Wilkins, one that would end up costing her greatly. In January 1953, Wilkins changed the course of DNA history by disclosing without Franklin's permission or knowledge her Photo 51 to competing scientist James Watson, who was working on his own DNA model with Francis Crick at Cambridge. Upon seeing the photograph, Watson was awed, and the two scientists did, in fact, use what they saw in Photo 51 as the basis for their famous model of DNA, which they published on March 7, 1953, and for which they received a Nobel Prize in 1962. Crick and Watson were also able to take most of the credit for the finding. When publishing their model in Nature magazine in April 1953, they included a footnote acknowledging that they were stimulated by a general knowledge of Franklin's and Wilkins' unpublished contribution, when in fact, much of their work was rooted in Franklin's photo and findings. Randall and the Cambridge laboratory director came to an agreement, and both Wilkins and Franklin's articles were published second and third in the same issue of Nature. Still, it appeared that their articles were merely supporting Crick and Watson's. According to Maddox, Franklin didn't know that these men based their Nature article on her research, and she didn't complain either, likely as a result of her upbringing. Franklin didn't do anything that would invite criticism that was bred into her, Maddox was quoted as saying in an October 2002 NPR interview. Franklin left King's College in March 1953 and relocated to Birkbeck College. After moving to Birkbeck College, Rosalind got involved in the race for the understanding of the structure of nucleic acid protein complexes, known as viruses. She obtained high-resolution X-ray photographs and demonstrated the helical structure of the rod-like TMV, the location of the RNA, the helical conformation of RNA in the helical TMV, and the disassembly and reassembly of TMV. But because Randall let Franklin leave on the condition that she would not work on DNA, she turned her attention back to studies of coal. In 5 years, Franklin published 17 papers on viruses, and her group laid the foundations for structural virology. In the fall of 1956, Franklin discovered that she had ovarian cancer. She continued working throughout the following 2 years. Despite having 3 operations and experimental chemotherapy, she experienced a 10-month remission and worked up until several weeks before her death on April 16, 1958, at the age of 37.